I had to bring him the roast Hanuman for eating special herb.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Varatori Yamuna Tira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Varatori Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Varatori Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pari Rajakacharya Ashtokter Shaka Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Pari Rajakacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Satchinandana Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhuma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jaya Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunatha Sad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Gangamaya Ki Jai. Yamunamaya Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Kari Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Pranath Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Iskan Bhartma Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. And I forgot Gaura Pramanande. Haribol. All glories to Sri Sri Guru, Sri Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatam Vyasa Tatojayam Yuridayat Nasta Preshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, and unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by the rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is October 6th, 2024, and we're reading Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order. Chapter 24, chanting the song sung by Lord Shiva, and we'll be doing verse 55. Tamdara Maradya Satamapi Darapaya Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchet Paramulam Vinabahi Tamdara Maradya Satamapi Darapaya Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchet Paramulam Vinabahi Tamdara Maradya Satamapi Darapaya Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchet Paramulam Vinabahi. Okay, please chant.
Tamdara Maradya
Maradya Satamapi Darapaya Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchet
Paramulam Vinabahi.
Paramulam Vinabahi.
Tanduraradyam Maradya
Tamdara Maradya
Satamapi Durapaya
Satamapi Durapaya
Ekanta Vyakovanchit
Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchit
Paramulyam Vinnabahi
Paramulam Vinapahi. Anyone else? Tamdara Radya Maradya Satamapi Durapaya Ekanta Bhaktya Kovanchit Paramulam Vinapahi. All right, word for word. Tam,
Tam
unto you.
unto you,
Dara Radyam,
Narayam,
very difficult to worship.
very difficult to worship.
Aradya,
Arayam,
having worshipped.
having worship.
Satam, api,
Janapi,
even for the most exalted persons.
even for the most exalted persons.
Durapaya,
Rapaya,
very difficult to attain.
very difficult to attain.
Ekanta,
Ekanta,
pure.
pure.
Bhaktya,
Bhakya,
by devotional service.
devotional service.
Ka, who is that man?
Who is that man?
Panchet,
Manjit,
should desire.
Desire.
Paramulam,
Paramulam,
lotus feet.
lotus feet.
Vina,
Vina,
without.
without.
Pahi,
Bali,
outsiders.
outside.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. My dear Lord, pure devotional service is even difficult for liberated persons to discharge, but devotional service alone can satisfy you. Who will take to other processes of self-realization if he is actually serious about the perfection of life? Please repeat. My dear Lord,
My dear Lord,
pure devotional service
pure devotional service
is even difficult for liberated persons
is even difficult for liberated persons
to discharge,
to discharge.
but devotional service alone
Devotional service alone
can satisfy you.
can satisfy you.
Who will take to other processes
Who will take to other processes
of self-realization
of self-realization
if he is actually serious
if he is actually serious
about the perfection of life?
about the perfection of life.
Purport. The word satam refers to transcendentalists. There are three kinds of transcendentalists: the jnani, yogi, and bhakta. Out of these three, the bhakta is selected as the most suitable candidate to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is emphasized herein that only one who is outside devotional service would not engage in searching for the lotus feet of the Lord. Foolish people sometimes maintain that God may be attained in any way, either by karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, etc. But here it is clearly stated that it is impossible to obtain the mercy of the Lord by any means but bhakti yoga. The words duraradya is especially significant, for it is difficult to attain the lotus feet of the Lord by any other method than bhakti yoga. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jananjana Shalakjaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Padati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahaganan Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadutam Parajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopeka Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right. So, really beautiful verse about devotional service. So, what is the goal of our spiritual practice, right? This is what so many people might be practicing spirituality and they might not actually know what the goal is. And sometimes people, even within ISKCON, have been practicing for many years and still don't know what the goal is. So many different practices think the goal of spiritual practice is liberation, right? Liberation, getting out of the cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. And we preach about that so much, right? Getting out of that cycle. But that's not the actual goal. Other practices think the reward is, or the goal is a reward, right? Some kind of reward, like heaven, getting your own planet, going to a place where everything you could dream of is there, going to a place where you have so many virgins. You know, these are all different forms of reward, right? Some people think the goal of spiritual practice is cessation of misery, right? Just cessation of misery. And this is also not the goal, cessation of misery. Although cessation of misery is nice, most people would like that to happen. That's also not the goal. Some people also think that getting mystic powers, that's the goal of spiritual practice, right? That's sort of like a reward, but a little bit different. But actually, none of these things is the goal. Even going back to Godhead, that's not the goal, right? That could be part of the goal, but it isn't the goal, right? So what is the goal? Krishna Prem, right? Okay, yeah. And so love for God, right? And how do we get that? We get that by doing devotional service. So even if we're liberated, even if we become liberated, we're still going to be doing devotional service, right? So some people think, okay, liberation's the goal. I'm liberated. Now I don't have to do anything, right? Just hang out, I guess, right? But that's not true. Bhagavad Gita 9:2 says, this knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of secrets. It is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of religion. It is everlasting and joyfully performed. And so this is what part of the purport says. It is said here that this devotional service is eternally existing. So not just until you're liberated, right? It's eternally existing. And it is not, as the Mayavadi philosophers claim, although they sometimes take to so-called devotional service, their idea is that as long as they are not liberated, they will continue their devotional service. But at the end, when they become liberated, they will become one with God. Such temporary time-serving devotional service is not accepted as pure devotional service. Actual devotional service continues even after liberation. When the devotee goes to the spiritual planet in the kingdom of God, he is also engaged there in serving the Supreme Lord. He does not try to become one with the Supreme Lord. Right? So there we can see, if you achieve pure devotional service, you're going to still be doing that for all eternity. You're not going to just say, okay, now I'm done. Time to rest, time to party, time to fade into nothing, whatever it is. No, we're going to still be doing our devotional service. So I love the translation of Sanatana Dharma. My favorite translation of Sanatana Dharma is the eternal occupation of the soul, right? The occupation of the soul. So that's our souls are eternally, that's our job, is to do devotional service. So some people think that the occupation of the soul is to be successful, right? I know my mom thinks that, right? She wants me to, get a good job, have a nice house, get a nice family. And that's what so many people think is the job, right? That we're supposed to be doing here is raise a nice family, have a happy life, be able to gratify your senses adequately, and then your parents are proud of you, right? I want my son to be a doctor or a lawyer or a basketball star, whatever it is, right? But this is not what the job of the soul is, what our eternal occupation is. So people, when they become successful, they end up being so entangled by that. I mean, if you think about some of the most successful, by material standards, people on our planet right now, people that have so much money, so much business that's doing well, are they able to just relax and like hang out and chill? I mean, generally not, right? They're in a lot of anxiety to maintain that, right? Or to keep it growing. That's the other thing. It's like, you have a successful business. Well, business isn't considered successful nowadays unless it's continually growing, right? But that's not sustainable, right? And then you're in this constant state of anxiety. Oh, my success is not successful enough, right? And so you've achieved success. You've gotten everything that your mom probably wanted you to do. You probably have a beautiful husband or wife, a beautiful house, a nice, plenty of money, a nice car, probably have a cute dog, and you have all these things, but still you're in anxiety, right? You can't relax because you got to make sure that keeps growing, right? Or that's maintained. And so it's a trick, right? So even if you're successful, you're not happy. Okay, and we know people that are not successful, people that are living in poverty, they have so many issues, right? They're not able to relax because they're trying to figure out, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to feed my cat? How am I going to get braces for my kid? How am I going to put gas in the car? How am I going to feed myself, right? I don't know why I thought of the cat, but I did. And so it kind of seems like, all right, well, so if I'm not successful, I'm not happy. If I am successful, I'm not happy. What gives? What's the deal here? It kind of seems like I'm trapped either way, right? I'm just trapped. That's because this material world is a prison. So even if you're successful, you're still in this prison, right? Even if you're in poverty, you're still in this prison. So what do you do about that? You become a victim of your success, or you become a victim of your failure, a victim of your poverty. You're becoming a victim, of the material energy, right? So what do we do about this? We do devotional service, right? So who remembers what are the 9 kinds of devotional services? Anyone remember one of them? Or we can say, so we know the verse, right? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So what's Shravanam? Hearing, right? Okay. What's Kirtanam? Yeah. What's Vishnu Smaranam? What's that? Yeah. How about Padasevanam? All right. How about Archanam? Vandanam. Dasyam. Sakyam. And then Atma Nivedanam. All right. Yeah. So we are hearing about Krishna, chanting about him, remembering him, offering service to his lotus feet, offering him worship in the temple, offering prayers to him, working as his servant, making friendship with him, and unreservedly surrendering to him. So, and of these, which one is considered the most important? Shravanam, yeah. So, hearing. Well, in the 7th canto, it says Shravanam. I don't know. Okay. Okay, so hearing and chanting are the most important. Very nice. Okay. So if you're doing these things properly, one of the first characteristics of someone who's practicing these things properly is that they get all kinds of relief from material distress. I mean, how great is that? So that means the successful person that's in anxiety trying to maintain their success, they'll get all relief from this material distress. And also the person that's poverty stricken and they're worried about how am I going to put gas in the car? How am I going to feed my kids? They'll also get relief from material distress because that's one of the characteristics of doing pure devotional service. Does anyone know any of the other ones besides you? No? There's about 6 of them.
Rare.
Huh?
Rarely.
Yeah, rarely achieved. Very good. Any other one? Anyone? You know one you want to? No? A characteristic of devotion?
By which one can control Krishna?
That's, yeah. It only means to attract Krishna, yeah. Okay, so I'll just read them. Pure devotional service brings immediate relief from all kinds of material distress. Pure devotional service is the beginning of all auspiciousness. Pure devotional service automatically puts one in transcendental pleasure. Everybody wants pleasure, right? Automatically, we do pure devotional service. Then we have transcendental pleasure. Pure devotional service is rarely achieved.
Right.
What's that?
Right, pleasure, liberation.
Yeah, very good. And those in pure devotional service deride even the concept of liberation. Pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. So it sounds pretty good, right? I mean, relief from material distress, all auspiciousness, transcendental pleasure. But if we're doing pure devotional service, those are just the side effects. We're not doing it to get those effects, right? Those are just like a bonus that we get those things, right? So when you're performing devotional service, it's the attitude that's most important. You could do devotional service, or there could be 2 devotees doing like the exact same service, but one person is doing it with an attitude of wanting to please Krishna, and another person might be doing it with an attitude of, oh, I want people to think I'm good at this, right? You know, I want people to say, oh, what a beautiful kirtan you led, right? And one is going to be pleasing to Krishna, and the other one not so much, right? So I want to tell a little story about a devotee named Shabari. So Shabari, she was just a woman that lived in a village, and she was a seeker. She was a spiritual seeker, and one day she got a guru, and her guru told her that if she served Lord Rama, that she would get darshan of him one day. And so she took the instructions of her guru very seriously, and she went out every day and she would pick berries for Lord Rama. And every day she would taste each berry. She would taste each one, and the sweet ones she would put in her basket to give to Lord Rama, and the ones that were sour she would just throw away, because she wanted Lord Rama to have the sweetest berries. And And so then every day she would go home. She had an ashram. She would go home there and then offer the berries to the Lord. And she didn't know that you're not supposed to taste the offering, you know. So one day, Lord Ram appeared to her, and she offered him the berries. And now Lord Ram, so many yogis wanted Lord Ram to come and visit, but he didn't visit any of them. He came and visited her. And so when she offered him the berries that she had tasted, Lakshman said, "Oh, you know, those berries aren't really suitable. You know, she tasted them. It's, you know, really not appropriate, you know, for you to eat them." And Lord Ram, he said that these berries, they couldn't be equaled, you know, that they were the sweetest because they were given with her love and devotion and her bhakti. And so that story I really like because it illustrates that even if you don't know all the rules and regulations, if you're doing things, if you're serving the Lord with love and devotion, that's what matters, right? That's what matters. Because the Lord doesn't need, you know, he doesn't need the berries. He doesn't need you to necessarily strictly follow all these rules and regulations, though I'm not saying we shouldn't follow them. We should if we know them. But what the Lord does need is our love, right? He doesn't need the berries. He doesn't need the, you know, beautiful outfits we give him or anything, because he could make his own berries, his own beautiful outfits. But it's the love in which we do these things that the Lord needs and wants. Well, he doesn't even need it actually because he's self-satisfied, but it's what he wants from us. It's what we can give him. So this same principle is demonstrated in the story of Vidura's wife and the banana peel, giving Krishna the banana peel. We heard that yesterday, was it? Or on Thursday, on Friday. Yeah, and that same principle there, Krishna was eating the banana peels happily, and with great enjoyment, eating those banana peels. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to eat a banana peel. It's not very good. I mean, I tried when I was a kid once. It was. Huh? What's that?
I think I was there to do it.
Yeah, was it good? No, it was not good. Yeah. But Krishna was relishing those banana peels because they were offered with such love and devotion. And then later when Vidura came home and said, what are you doing? You give me Krishna these banana peels. And so she said, you know, I'm sorry, and gave him the banana properly. Krishna said that it was good, but he preferred the banana peels because they were given with such love and devotion. So another example of, you know, the attitude you want to have when doing devotional service is, you know, the attitude of Queen Kunti, right? So Queen Kunti, she had been through so many hardships. And I've heard so many people, you know, they're going through a hard time and they're just so consumed with their own, you know, victimization that they really don't give any thought to Krishna. They don't give any thought to anything. It's very self-centered, right? To just be thinking about, oh, I've been wronged, and this wrong needs to be righted, and you know, I can't go on until justice is done, right? Because I personally have been wronged. And this is a very selfish outlook. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't injustices that need to be addressed, because there are. But when one is, you know, when one's been insulted, we should remember that we should give all respects to others and not expect any respect for ourselves, right? Because otherwise, when you're just sitting and meditating on your that you've been wronged, I mean, you're just worshiping your own ego. It's a very sad place to be. Now, Queen Kunti, she had so many terrible things happen to her. She was wronged so many times, but her attitude wasn't, oh, I must be avenged. That wasn't her attitude. Her attitude wasn't, oh, poor me. Oh my gosh, this is so horrible. This is so horrible. I'm just going to just cry to anybody who will listen. No, that wasn't her attitude. This is a small excerpt from her prayers. She says, my dear Krishna, your lordship has protected us from a poisoned cake, from a great fire, from cannibals, from the vicious assembly, from sufferings during our exile in the forest, and from the battle where great generals fought. And now you have saved us from the weapon of Ashvatthama. I wish that all those calamities would happen again and again, so that we can see you again and again. For seeing you means that we will no longer see repeated births and deaths. My Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So her attitude wasn't, oh, poor me, why is this happening to me? Oh, you must avenge me. No, it wasn't that. It was, let these things happen again and again, because at that time she was able to see Krishna, right? And so when something bad happens to us, we can choose to wallow in it. We can choose to wallow in despair and be, just completely dejected and depressed and angry. Or we can use it to get closer to Krishna and take more shelter of Krishna, right? So there's always two ways that you can react to something. You can choose to react in a positive or a negative way. So you want to become equal posed, and Kirtaneshwara was talking about that also. That means that you want to keep doing your service, even if it's hard, even if you're upset, even if you're angry, right? You want to keep doing your service to Krishna. It doesn't mean to just, oh, I give up, or nobody appreciates me, I'm just not going to do it, or, oh, I'm so angry, I don't care, No, you want to keep doing your service. So there's the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions this repeatedly about being equal posed, right? So 2:15, he says, O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. 4:22 says, he who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. In 12:13-14, one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor, and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. And 12:18-19, he says, one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equal posed in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. So Krishna mentions that so many times, right? Because you've heard the term fair weather friend. You guys have heard that, right? You never heard that? Really? I think you're fibbing. But a fair weather friend is someone who's your friend when things are good, and then they hit the road when things are bad, right? And you don't want to be a fair weather friend to Krishna, right? Krishna is not a fair weather friend to you. Krishna is there for you, whether you're completely degraded or whether you're a pure devotee. Krishna is there for you. So we want to be have true love and devotion for Krishna, not just, oh, things are great, I've got a good job, my wife and I are getting along, my dog is won a contest, whatever it is. All right, yeah, thank you, Krishna, things are going great. Oh, now things are going terrible. Oh, Krishna, why are you doing this to me? Or better yet, I'm just going to ignore you or be angry at you, or, right? This is not true love and devotion. This is being a fair weather friend. And so I don't like it when someone's only a fair weather friend to me, where they only are around when I'm buying them dinner, but then when I need to move my furniture, no one shows up, right? That's a bummer. They say that's how you know who your true friends are, is who comes when you need to move, right? To help you carry all your furniture. Yeah, I was going to say you are a true friend because you help so many devotees move.
First devotion service I ever did.
Yeah.
Move all over that stuff.
Yeah. One time, many years ago, I worked at a gas station, and it was a small town, and I knew everyone in town because everybody had to get gas, right? And or soda or whatever it is, everybody came to the gas station. So I knew everybody in town. I had so many friends. I was so popular, and then a lot of young, strong men too, and then I had to move one day, and everybody said, oh yeah, I'll show up. I'll help you move. And then the day came for me to move, and one man showed up. One man, and guess what? He was on crutches, and him and I, we moved my house, and so I know that man, wherever he is now, he was my true friend. So, okay. So also think about, Arjuna, he didn't want to kill his family, his friends, his teachers, but he did it because it was service. It was service to Krishna. Krishna had asked him to. And it's important to know that there's no loss or diminution on this path, right? Bhagavad Gita tells us this. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. And a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So there's a few examples, really, really good examples of this. One is Ajamil, right? Ajamil, when he was younger, he was a devotee. He was a brahmachari. He was serving the Lord, and then he got sidetracked. Later, he saw a prostitute embracing a customer. Huh?
Sudra.
Yeah, a sudra. There you go. And he suddenly lost sight of his devotional service, and he ended up spending so many years with this woman, having 10 children with her, and doing so many, unglorious things to take care of this family that he made. And still, at the time of his death, when he had named his youngest son Narayan, and he started calling out for his son because the Yamadutas came and they're scary, And he calls out, Narayan, here come the Vishnu Dutas, because, why? Because he called out the name of the Lord, but also because his devotional service, he had done devotional service, and the Lord doesn't forget that, right? So even though he had done so many sinful things, here came the Vishnu Dutas to give him another chance to do better, which he did. Another example is Gadendra, right? So Gadendra, he, in his former birth, Gadendra's an elephant, the king of the elephants. So in his former birth, he was King Indrayumna, and he was doing rituals to Vishnu, and he was in ecstasy. He was just doing these rituals to Vishnu, and he was in ecstasy. And here comes this sage, and he was unable to greet the sage because he was just in such ecstasy doing these rituals. And so the sage cursed him to be an elephant and to forget his devotional life. And so he became an elephant. And one day he's splashing around in the river with, his elephant friends, and all of a sudden a crocodile comes and bites him and starts fighting with him, and they fight for a really, really long time. Like how many years do you remember? It's like
So that's 2 years.
yeah, a long time. So that's one long fight. And Gajendra's getting tired. He can no longer continue this fight. And somehow Gajendra remembers a prayer from his past life. And he says it, and he picks a lotus flower and he offers it to the Lord. And that's because there's no loss or diminution on this path, right? Even though he couldn't even remember his devotional service. That was the curse. But the Lord remembered him, right? And allowed him to remember that prayer. And so all of a sudden here comes Vishnu on Garuda and plucks him, kills the gator, and saves Gajendra. And so even if you get discouraged or you have setbacks, just know that there's no loss or diminution on this path. Some people think, oh, I'm so fallen. Oh, I shouldn't even keep going. I shouldn't try. Or, oh, I've done this. I've lost all my spiritual credits. Well, that's not true. You may have to go through some things, but you still, there's no loss or diminution on this path. So you still have those that, piece of paper that says, I did some service, right? And Krishna will remember that. So, and you need to serve even in adversity. I was thinking of the story of Kubja, right? So Kubja, she had so many, she made scents and like oils and things for King Kamsa. And Krishna and Balaram are walking by and they see her, and Krishna asks her for some of her scents, some of her oils, and she was supposed to give them to King Kamsa. And if she doesn't, she's going to get killed, right? But she gives them to Krishna anyway, right? Joyfully does so. And even though she's facing adversity, she's still going to serve the Lord. And then he ended up, Kubja, she was kind of a hunchback. She was very unattractive. And so Krishna, he ended up straightening her back and making her into a beautiful young lady again. And so we want to serve even in adversity. So whatever you do, we should do it as a service to Krishna, right? Even, whether you're a ruler, whether you're, a temple president, whether you're a parent or a husband or a student or a daughter, find a way to use your role to serve Krishna in whatever way that you can. And that's what we should be doing. If you're not able to serve Krishna directly, you can certainly donate money, you can donate time, whatever you can do. But if you're a parent, make sure you raise your kids to be Krishna conscious. If you're a husband, encourage your wife and your family to become Krishna conscious. And even if you're a student, you can lead by example, show others how to become Krishna conscious by being a good student, by being kind to all the living entities, and by serving Krishna in your own life. And that way you can be a good example to the world and be serving Krishna in every aspect of your life, right? So I'm going to end with, I know we all know this, but I'm going to end by reading the Shikshashtakam, if I can pronounce it. Shikshashtakam, because that is Lord Chaitanya is showing us how to serve, how to have that proper mood, So, glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. And one should, and one should be more tolerant than a tree and devoid of all sense of false prestige, and one should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda, I'm your eternal servitor, yet somehow I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separations, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Jai. Yes. Uncle S. Prabhu.
That last one. Last Shikshastik, it seems to be different from
Early in the class, you said, what's the goal of life? And you all settled on love of God. But the last one, it seems like whatever you do, and that's consistent with what's in the verse. But devotional service alone can satisfy you because it's Krishna-centered. It's not, I want love of God.
Yeah.
That seems to be like also a byproduct of just trying to please Krishna.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, because that devotional service is the goal, right?
Yeah.
And whether we get that love or not, we should still be serving. So.
And that'll, when Krishna is satisfied, he blesses us with love of God.
Exactly. It's sort of like we'll get the love, but that can't be the goal, right? We get the love by making devotional service the goal, and then the love comes. Yeah.
Yeah. The love is to serve.
Yeah.
Few points. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives some text. He associates each verse of Shikshastakam with one of the stages of bhakti, and the last verse is he associates that with prema. That's the consciousness of someone who has prema.
Yeah.
According to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Also, Sureshwar Prabhu may know. I don't know. He probably might not know. But is this King Indrajumna? Is he the same Indrajumna that brought Lord Jagannath down? And then last point is that once I was at the gym and I saw this guy with a tattoo, and he had a tattoo of an elephant looking like it was suffering in a lake, offering a lotus flower to the sky. And he had no idea. I was like, that's Gajendra.
Yeah.
I even told him, I says, your tattoo, like, he's like, I just thought of an elephant holding a lotus, it'd be cool. But I was like,
You just thought of that?
yeah, it was just, it's Gajendra. It was so funny because I was thinking like he like subconsciously tattooed Gajendra on himself.
Yeah, he might.
So he might be like Gajendra, in his last moment of death, he might remember that in his last life he's a devotee or something,
He must have known that story from a past life or something. I mean, wow. Love it.
This is a beautiful verse, actually, really hit it out of the park. But I was thinking when you were mentioning the pastime of Ajamil, and his activities are spoken about in Bhagavatam in such an abominable way. But I was thinking, in Kali Yuga, a lot of people will look at him and go, "Oh, he's not so bad because he stayed with one woman. He maintained her." Then how in Kali Yuga, it's like a guy gets a prostitute and then he like has 4 or 5 others, like on the side. So it makes me just kind of realize like how fallen we are in Kali Yuga. That Ajamil is given the example as like something that's just like really horrible and really sinful. Like most of the average people are doing like much worse.
Yeah, when I first read that story, I thought the same thing. I thought, oh, that's considered a good relationship nowadays. I mean, really good. They had 10 kids together by the same mother and father. Wow. Yeah, good. But no, you're right. That's how degraded our society is now.
But it's also mentioned that in Kali Yuga, a man will be deemed as like, I can't remember the word, like
Expert.
honorable, respectable. If he can maintain
His family, yeah. Yeah, because it's so difficult to do right now, right? It's so incredibly difficult to keep a family together. Yes.
I think it mentions that Ajamil was like, he was like doing black market things and killing people and stuff also. So
Yeah.
even though he had, okay, well, the Iceman also maintained his family, but he was also, the Iceman. So,
That is true. Yes.
yeah, he was actually a murderer.
He was
so,
doing so many unsavory things to
Murder-
maintain all those children.
Murdering people is
Yeah.
pretty low.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to say that was a really beautiful class. I think that your classes have skyrocketed and they're so good now. And it's a really, really nice class. And you talked about fair weather friends. And in my experience, you are one of the people that I would say is the opposite of a fair weather friend in all circumstances. You're one of the most sincere people. So thank you very much.
I'll get down in the muck with you and help muck it out. Yeah. All right. Anything else? All right. We'll end here. Srimad Bhagavatam.